Created by Darren Aronofsky, Limitless is a brand new series on Nat Geo in which Chris Hemsworth, yes, the mighty Thor himself, sets out on a quest to live a better, longer life. It's all very fascinating stuff, and we got a chance to speak to its executive producer, Ruth Shurman. Check it out.
Now, I may be in pretty decent shape. Sure, I may look like an immortal Norse god, etc. Stop it. But I know the clock is already ticking.
It's an absolute pleasure to speak to you. I had such a blast watching this series. And first things first, how did this all come about? Because I was looking at the names involved and I was wondering, was this a Darren Aronofsky idea? Was it something that Nat Geo's been wanting to do for the longest time? How did this come to fruition?
Yeah, I think it's like a confluence of various things. First of all, Darren, I think it's no secret that he loves this subject matter, and ever since his movie The Fountain, and he's been fascinated by mortality, aging, disease, all of those big themes. So that's something he's very, very interested in. I think National Geographic have a long history as well of looking at longevity, and everyone got talking about, wouldn't it be great, sort of following on from the series One Strange Rock that looked at the sort of science of the planet.
And how did Chris get involved? Like, why Chris? Why not any one of the other 24 actors who play superheroes in movies these days?
You know, he is really, really interested in health, not just fitness, but also health. And I think you can see that through his development of his Centre app and for a long time, I think he's been quite deeply embedded in all of that. So it was a subject that he already was quite involved with. And he's a fantastic guinea pig for the series because he was so ready to really get involved and really live the science. You know, from our first conversation with him, he heard about the idea and he was like, okay, I'm all in.
So it didn't take much convincing then.
Well, Darren, you know, like they had the early conversations, but we knew, you know, having decided to do it, he wanted to really do everything for real, to really understand it and to kind of explore the full possibility and potential of this idea. So,
well, I was going to say, because he pushes himself to a variety of different places in the show, and I'm assuming he was just ready and willing to do that and push himself to those extremes, because he does go to some pretty crazy extremes.
Yeah, which have you seen all the episodes or just?
I've seen the ones they've given me. So stress proof, shock, fasting, strength, and acceptance. Is that all of them?
There's one more, but yeah, that gives you a very good idea of his total dedication to this. I mean, at the beginning, did he know that he was going to be kind of swimming in the Arctic and all of that? I don't know. You know, he wanted to be stretched. He's somebody who likes that. He loves the idea of a challenge and a goal that is somewhat beyond him and that he's going to have to work for. That is very, very motivating for him. He's got incredible drive and commitment. You know, it would have been so easy for him to, you know, just say, oh, you know, can we do something, you know, simpler? Can we make the point in a simpler way?
I have a stunt double who I use all the time. Yeah.
He was really game, a really good sport as well as everything else.
And the subjects that you cover, from stress to fasting to acceptance, how did you come up with that? Was that in consultation with Chris, or did you just have a team of experts come in and go, wait, for longevity, these are the 6 things that you need to do?
So we had a good idea about what sort of categories we were interested in. And then we obviously spoke to lots of great experts and some of the people that you see in the series and many, many more scientists as well. And then we obviously tailored things with Chris as well as to what areas that he felt would be beneficial for him and where he has kind of some skin in the game. Like, for example, the exploration of stress and how to manage stress better. You know, he said that is something that, you know, over his life he's had to deal with. And but, you know, we wanted to make sure that this was going to be really useful for our audience as well. So we wanted to hit the big important things.
So there is room for a potential season 2 then, with like other aspects that you could cover.
This idea of how to live better for longer, there's a lot to it. And for example, with the strength episode, we're dealing with Chris there, who was already, to talk to Chris Hemsworth and tell him how to kind of be more kind of better exercising. It's kind of ridiculous because he's so wonderful in that department already. But even he, there were aspects of that he hadn't concentrated on as much as others. And I mean, it's a massive subject. So yes, we could always do more.
That's very cool. I mean, watching it, I have to say, it completely changed my perspective on a lot of things as well. My wife and I were watching the fasting episode together, and we were thinking about trying it out because nothing you do on the show seems like it would be beyond the capacity of the average individual to do. Okay, maybe the rope thing is a little crazy. I could never pull that off, and I don't think I'll be hunting for my food after I've done with a fast, but the basic concepts I think we can follow. And I'm curious as to whether that was what you had in mind. Is that what you want the audience to take away?
Yeah, I mean, that is very much kind of an underlying purpose there, that there would be things that people can think, oh, how could I incorporate the foundational message there in a way that's accessible for me? Obviously, we're not going to all do ice swims and you might not fast for 4 days, but you might think, okay, I might go for some hours or, do some aspect of it. I mean, certainly within our team, we've all been experimenting with different things, not at Chris level, but taking on some of these kind of techniques and tools. I think the stress-proof episode, the sort of lessons that Modupe Akinola teaches Chris in that episode are really easy to apply in your own life. The breathing, the positive self-talk, those kind of things. I think a lot of people have been borrowing some of those. So,
oh, that's good.
Yeah.
I think the stress thing is probably the easiest entry point. And I think God knows all of us need it, no matter what work you do, no matter where you are in the world. And speaking of that, actually, there is most definitely an increased focus on our well-being, and we see it everywhere, not just physically but also mentally. But also that means that every quack and his uncle is giving you advice on Instagram and TikTok. But where you guys come in is that you have that Nat Geo credibility, if you will. And I was wondering if you could speak to the importance of that, because watching this and having a cute little animation explain why the cells in the body require fasting just speaks to me on a very credible level, as opposed to some guy on TikTok.
Yeah, I think there is a lot of random advice out there, and obviously, people need to be selective about that. It was important to us that there was kind of good, solid science behind the things that we're talking about. Some of that science is still at a more theoretical and speculative phase, because some of the things are really hard to prove in humans, and it's very emerging. And that was also part of the motivation for doing this series, that this idea of longevity, there's so much new research all the time coming out, and we're only really just beginning to understand some of this stuff. But what really interested us was that behind it, a lot of the behaviors which seem to be actually better for us as human beings are things which people in all sorts of cultures, religions, communities have been doing, for a very long time.
No, absolutely. And I think you're right. Making it accessible was key. And also, I think we get to see Chris go on that journey. We get to see the highs and the lows. And so it's not this miracle fix for everything. Fasting is hard, and we get to see just how hard it is, right? I've only got about a minute left, but I just wanted to say thank you so much for doing this. And also, I think my biggest takeaway from the show is that, and I find this with a lot of Nat Geo shows, is that, oh, look, there is something I can do. Because most of the time when we read about this stuff, it just feels so incredibly overwhelming that we're like, forget it. I'll just live my life like how I always live it. And I think that's something you guys have pulled off very well. So congratulations on that.
Great. Well, thank you. And I'm glad you enjoyed it.
Also, Ruth, I just love the Emmys sitting on the windowsill. It's just the perfect prop. It's fantastic. It's great.
It's our Utopia boardroom, so we've got a bit of hardware.
You gotta put it up. Thanks again, Ruth, for your time, and congratulations.
Nice to meet you. Bye-bye.
Lovely to meet you. Bye-bye.
Come on, Chris, you're giving up already?
Shut up, Gary.
That was executive producer Ruth Shurman. Check out Nat Geo's Limitless when it drops on Disney Plus Hotstar November 16th. Sound off below in the comments once you've seen the series. Let us know what you think about it. Check out our other videos right here on YouTube. Tell your friends about us. Tell your family. You know what to do.